Welcome, let's discuss the Italian Grand Prix qualifying session. It was brilliant. Before we head into the news of that session, massive news up at the front. Mercedes finally confirmed the worst hidden secret. Kimi Antonelli will take up the seat from 2025. He's been given Lewis Hamilton's seat. He was on show, star of the FP1, wasn't he? Lasted all of 10 minutes, a big crash that seen him go out. And it was quite clear he was the golden child of Toto. He quickly got off over the radio and said, "Lad, don't worry about this one." It was a big weekend for them. Just ahead of FP3, it was announced that he'll be the man to take Hamilton's seat. A lot of pressure on the young Italian. He's done really well. He's got some magnificent drives in F2 and comes with a lot of hype. Young man and big pressure on his shoulders, going straight into a big team. It's hats off to him for a stellar job. Let's jump straight into qualifying Q1 session. Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas see the back of the field. No surprise there that Sauber wasn't quick here. Colo Franco Pinto in his first qualifying session for Williams as a driver for the rest of the season. Bit of a scruffy lap right at the end of most of the session. He's been fairly decent, and he was only 3/10 off Alex Albon with that mistake as well. So I think overall he would have been a lot closer to Albon than we've seen before. But mistake on that final lap. We'll be disappointed with that because potentially could have had the pace to get into Q2, which would have been quite good from him. Disappointing session for Lance Stroll and Aston Martin out in Q1, 17th position start for him, and Yuki Tsunoda, who was ranting and raving over the team radio, told to calm down, out in Q1, P16 start for him at their home race. He was really annoyed at that when he looks at his teammate. He wasn't a million miles away, but still, he should have been expected to get into Q2, much like Lance Stroll. Lando Norris led the way in that session. The Ferraris looked strong. Charles Leclerc in second and Oscar Piastri in third. The star of that session was Alex Albon up to P8, and their Williams run was continue. And let's get to Q2 out with the two Alpines. Ocon 15th, Gasly 14th. Kevin Magnussen 13th. He had a scruffy session, made a number of mistakes, and then right on the end of that session he was looking like there was some sort of car issue again. Daniel Ricciardo lines up in 12th place, a decent qualifying session for him, in the fight potentially for some points, or P10 it looks like, on P9 looks potentially on. Fernando Alonso rounds off a disappointing weekend for Aston Martin. He came on the radio and said that's the best they can do, a P11. Lewis Hamilton led the way, and the Mercedes have looked strong. They were quickest in FP2 and FP3. Hamilton with a really good lap on that session. Max Verstappen looked like they'd be in with a fight in P2 in that session, and Lando Norris third. Alex Albon and Nico Hülkenberg, the stars on that. Hülkenberg pulling that Haas out and getting into Q3. He's been absolutely stellar, hasn't he, in qualifying, and so we'll be hopeful that they can hold on to them tyres in the race tomorrow. And let's just get to the Q3 session. A fantastic lap in the end. Lando Norris takes pole position, Oscar Piastri second, and McLaren 1-2. Just a 10th in it. Lando Norris was actually a bit disappointed with his final round. Felt he left a bit of time on the table, but enough to secure P1. When he first leapt out in Q3 in that first lap, he was well fast, and you just thought he's got pole position with this one. But Oscar Piastri rounding off the dominance of McLaren with a 1-2, and if they can keep that up in the race tomorrow and Red Bull finish where they've qualified, they take the lead in the championship, would be a huge surprise for it to happen so soon. George Russell with a brilliant P3 in that session. He was struggling all weekend, but managed to get it together in Q3, out-qualified Lewis Hamilton, and that didn't look on at any point of the weekend, but a brilliant lap from him. Charles Leclerc looked good in the Ferrari, was in P3, but then kicked out from George Russell by 3 hundredths of a second, so just 1.34 between pole and Charles Leclerc, really tight up at the front end, but a really good lap from him. Carlos Sainz rounds off a decent quali for Ferrari. Again, just 1.4 in it, 6 thousandths of a second between the two teammates. So Carlos Sainz lines up 5th. Lewis Hamilton in 6th place, 1.86 off pole position. It was so close at the front between the top 6, and I think he'll be the most disappointed because he's looked, won the faster of the two Mercedes and looked really good all the way up into that Q3 session. He was really disappointed afterwards because he said and felt that pole position was on, made a couple of mistakes over his flying lap. But the big surprise here, Max Verstappen, he was half a second back of Lewis Hamilton, up in 7th place. He made a lap of 1 minute 20. He was actually faster on a set of scrub tyres in Q2, which is really surprising. They were left scratching their heads, so I think the real gap isn't half a second to the rest of the field. They've just not understood what's happened, where they're not really switching on their tyres, which is really strange because that was their strongest asset all the way up to the first 10 races, wasn't it? But then it's just dropped away somewhere. So they'll be scratching their head. A much better qualifying session from Sergio Perez. He was less than half a tenth behind Max Verstappen. The closest has probably been all season. A P8 start for him. Alex Albon, 9th place. Fantastic session for that Williams team. He'll be hopeful that he can pick up some points in the race tomorrow. That car's looked strong, was in Zandvoort and looked really good in his hands this time out, and he's generally done well around Monza, so a really good job from him. And Nico Hülkenberg rounds out the top 10. A brilliant qualifying performance from him in the Haas, and he'll be just hoping to hang on to that, won't he? But it's all about the tyres tomorrow. With this new track surface and what we've seen in the free practice sessions on the longer runs, it'll be close and tight. It's all about who can do well on the tyres, and last time out we've seen the McLaren run away with it. Could we see the same this time out? Not too sure, to be honest with you, is the honest answer in there, but I think we've got some guys that can really fight through the field. Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes, I think he's out of position a little bit, and so he'll be in a real scrap with the two Ferraris. George Russell, if he can get a lightning start and mix it between at least one of the McLarens, we can see some fighting up there, so it'll be a really good, interesting, tight start. Again, crucial for Lando Norris if he can stay in first position. He doesn't need any sort of team radio fiasco this time to sort of help him out or put the team in a compromise. He really just needs to go off and win this session, and if he can be as far ahead, or Max can't gain as much as where he's qualified, it'll throw the championship right open, wouldn't it, with him taking the win. And well, if Max finishes where he is, it'll be pressure on Red Bull like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, a fantastic session in Monza. I cannot wait for the race tomorrow. It's set so fantastically well. It's so close now between any of them top 4 teams, and especially in race conditions, you know, I wouldn't count out the Red Bulls and Max Verstappen. He's always got something up his sleeve. Lewis Hamilton out of position, like I said before, it'll be great. I cannot wait for the action to get going. Watch out for the race review tomorrow. See you then. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. Thanks for watching.